This is an example of making $1 million within 12 months, starting from zero in a brand new industry with no knowledge, with no social media presence, with never being an online marketer, having no email list whatsoever. But again, making $1 million within 12 months from zero. And you might be asking, well, Taylor, how did you make $1 million from zero twice? Like, don't you start at zero once? Well, little caveat, after the real estate stuff went really well, I did great. I became a millionaire, made a lot of money every year. I then left real estate. I did this TEDx talk on building schools all over the world. It went really well. And so I told my business partners, like, you guys got to buy me out because I want to go build schools all over the world. And I took a few years and I did that. We ended up building 500 schools, libraries, water projects, girls scholarships, anti-sex trafficking work. There's a TED talk on it. You can watch that if you like. And making money while doing good proved a bit harder than what I expected. I ended up having to take out personal loans to fund that company that was building schools all over the world. It ended up not working. I failed as a CEO. That company tanked along with my loans, and I ended up going through bankruptcy. So I like to say I had the opportunity to start at zero again and see if it was possible to make $1 million in 12 months rather than the 24 months that it took me the first time around. So taking some of those learnings, again, getting into it, I didn't get back into real estate or anything. I thought that would be boring. I decided I would get into online marketing and I would come up with something that people really, really loved and people asked me for inherently, like already. They would just naturally ask me for. And so what I realized is that people came to me all the time for speaking advice. Because of building the schools all over the world, I got to speak at a bunch of places like the United Nations and Harvard and Princeton and TEDx 3 times. And so because of that, people came to me and asked me advice about public speaking. And I learned that the 3 things that they really wanted was they wanted to get coaching on their speaking. They wanted to get a talk that they could send to other people to make them, look authoritative and credible and land speaking gigs. And they wanted to know how to spread that talk and get millions of views. The result that these people wanted was they wanted to be a paid speaker. And so I came up with a package that would give them coaching, would film them doing a talk, and would spread that talk to millions of people. And I sold it for $5,000. Now, again, back to the goal was to make $1 million within the first 12 months. Now, the math in this is a little bit different. To make $1 million with a $5,000 package means that I would have to have 200 people buy a $5,000 package within 12 months to make $1 million. Now, the numbers behind this are really, really simple. And again, the thing that I learned in real estate is that I needed to find the one thing. What is the one thing that contributes the most to me hitting my goals? And in the online marketing world, or when you have a $5,000 package world, is sales calls. Because people, in my experience and my mentors' advice to me is people don't buy something that's $5,000 from a sales page. They buy it from someone on the phone, walking them through what the experience is going to be, getting them emotionally enrolled, getting them intellectually enrolled, and getting them to buy on the phone. So I needed to learn how to sell on the phone, and I needed to learn how to line up sales calls. So we started placing some ads, spent a little bit of money on Facebook, very, very cheap in the beginning. Again, I had just gone through bankruptcy. I was living at a friend's place for free, eating rice and beans, and trying to make it fashionable to wear like small blankets as a jacket because I didn't own a coat. So to get that background to say, like, I wasn't starting with a big budget. I did is whatever I could. I coached people. I took, I did speaking gigs. I did whatever I could to get a bit of startup capital. And I invested that into learning how to sell on the phone. I hired a guy to teach me how to sell on the phone and to put into Facebook ads. So what we did is I found out from the industry averages that if you get 5 people booking a sales call, roughly 4 of them are going to show up for those sales calls. And out of those 4, 1 of them is going to buy. So if you know how to sell on the phone and you've got a decent funnel in place, which we just hacked together by reading Russell Brunson books, I'll link those below. We hacked those together. If I got 5 sales calls, 4 of them would show up, 1 of them would buy. So I knew that every 5 sales calls that I had booked, someone would buy if I did my job well on the phone. And by the way, for this example, the first $1 million we made in this business, every single penny of that was made by myself on a sales call. Okay, I didn't have a sales team. I didn't have a brilliant marketer or anything like that. I had a 20-year-old kid working for me that I paid $2,000 a month and basically just told him to read Russell Brunson books and Jeff Walker books and Frank Kern stuff so that we could learn how to do online marketing because we didn't know our butts from a hole in the ground, as we say in Canada. So we started this business, got this $5,000 package, and I knew that the one thing, again, that's what this video is about, the one thing that I had to do was line up sales calls. So I became obsessed with lining up sales calls. We did it through Facebook ads, getting people on our email list. We'd offer them a phone call. They get on the phone with me. I would do posting on Facebook. I'd do posting on Instagram. I would, meet people in cafes. And I knew that if I booked, I think it was 80 sales calls per month, then I would have 20 sales calls per week. And out of those 20, remember 1 in 5 buys, right? 4 of those would buy. And if 4 of those bought, that's 4 times 5,000. That's $20,000 per week, just over $80,000 per month, because there's a couple extra days in the month, $80,000 per month. And if you take 80,000 or 83,000, for example, times it by 12, you got $1 million. So that was my plan. Get 80 sales calls booked per month, take 20 of them per week, enroll, 1 in 5, you know what I mean? Like, because 4 would show up, enroll 1 of those 4, but enroll 1 of the 5 originally booked sales calls, and I would be able to make $1 million. Now, from the start of that offer, by the way, we have clients that have millions of views from that offer that have made tens of thousands of dollars from their coaching programs from those film talks. By the way, the delivery was fantastic. It was an amazing offer. It did really, really well. Super happy clients. You got to have that in place. This video is not going to go into that much depth on that. But because from the day that we started that $5,000 offer, I think it was February 2018 to February 2019, we did approximately $1 million in sales, all from a $5,000 offer over and over and over again. And why I bring this up again is not just like toot my own horn and say, yay, I know how to sell on the phone. It is to say that if you know what is the one thing that drives your business more than anything else, and in my example in this one was sales calls. My example in real estate was listing appointments. When you know that one thing, again, you are empowered to make as much income as you want, to make as much impact as you want. You have control over your destiny. Now, to make it applicable to you, I want to tell you this. The number one thing that I was doing in this speaking business is that I was not exchanging time for money. As you can see there, I didn't say I needed to work 40 hours a week or work 80 hours a week or work 100 hours a week and charge $300 an hour to make $1 million a year, because those numbers don't scale and you would completely burn out and you wouldn't really have anything to show for it. At the end of it, people that are exchanging time for money, even if they are self-employed or they're a contractor, really it's just like a overpaid job is what it is. Okay, so you need to get out of the mindset of exchanging time for money. What I was doing, and within the speaking business, was exchanging a result for money. The result that someone wanted in the speaking business were to be positioned as a wonderful, highly credible, authoritative speaker. That's the result that they wanted. So that's why I got them the coaching. I filmed them doing the talk, helped them spread their talk, introduce them to people that I can introduce them to, so they would get the result that they were paying me for. Never in any of the calls that I was on, and I was on over 1,000 sales calls, never in any of those 1,000 sales calls did someone say, what's the exact amount of time that it's going to take you to do this? Never. They wanted a result. So I got really, really clear on what is the result that most of these people that are coming to me want. How do I get them that result in as efficient and effective way as humanly possible? And how do I charge $5,000 ideally? That's where I recommend anyone start, $5,000 to get them that result. And you might be thinking, well, I'm a Akashic Records reader, or I'm a shaman, or I sell t-shirts, or whatever it is, and I can't charge someone $5,000 because I always charge per hour. If you are thinking that right now, it's probably because of the 20, 30, 40, I don't know how old you are, but the 20, 30, 40 years of indoctrination, of programming that we have received from the outside world that is telling us to exchange time for money. It starts at a very young age. It starts in school, right? You got to go to school for this much time, then the bell rings. In reality, it's just programming to create a whole bunch more employees. We don't need to go into that in this video, but you've received decades worth of programming of exchanging time for money. And that is the one belief system that needs to be kiboshed, abolished before anything else. And then you get into the belief system or the framework of exchanging a result for money. Because when you're exchanging a result, you get better and better and better at providing that result in a shorter, more efficient, more effective timeline, which means more money that you make, and it means more success in a shorter amount of time for your clients. I'm going to give you one example. If someone came to you right now and they had cancer and they said, hey, you're a doctor, can you cure this cancer? And you said, yes, I can. I see the result that you want to cure your cancer. It's going to take 6 months and it's going to cost $2,000. That person says, great, here's the $2,000, let's take the 6 months. And then you went back to them and said, you know what? I've actually just done some upgrading of my program and I can cure that cancer in 2 weeks. Still costs $2,000. Do you want the 2-week version or do you want the 6-month version? Chances are every single person without a doubt is going to go for the 2-week version. It takes you less time and it gets them the result in less time. Does that make sense? No one's gonna want you to take longer to get them the result. The reason they're coming to you in the first place, especially if you're the cancer curing doctor, good work by the way, comment below, is they want you to cure that cancer as fast as humanly possible. And someone who's coming to you, whether they want, readings or whatever it is that they're coming to you for, they're actually coming to you for a result. You might be a coach and think, well, no, people are coming to you for weekly coaching. They're not. They're coming to you to lose 10 pounds or to have the best sex of their life or to find their soulmate or to do something. And they're like, they want a result. That's why they're seeking answers. That's why they're coming to you. So making this applicable to you, what is the thing? What is the result that you can get a client and eventually charge $5,000 for? If you're not comfortable charging $5,000 today, no problem. Start at $2,000, start at $3,000, start at $4,000, wherever you are. Eventually you'll get to $5,000 just based on the laws of supply and demand, because a lot of people will be coming to you, you don't have that much time. So you want to charge $5,000 eventually. And what is the number one driver of you hitting your goals? Again, mine was sales calls. My guess is no matter what industry you're in, it's going to come down to conversations. Whether it's a strategy call as a coach or an intake call as an Akashic Records reader or whatever it is, you know that most of your clients come to you and they go through the same process, right? They get on a phone call with you or they see a webinar that you've put on or they get on a Facebook Live. At some point, they probably talk to you. You enroll them in your program for $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000. And then you know what your business is all about. It's about that one thing. It's about those conversations. And then you get to obsess over what is it that is going to lead me to having 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 of those conversations per month, because that is going to be what leads you to your goal. Hey, I hope you liked that training. And if you did like it, please click the subscribe button, hit the like, hit the comments. And if you want more information, down below, I've got a free training on exactly the step-by-step process to landing a TEDx talk, making $10,000 a month from your purpose and living your purpose full time. Click the link below for that free training, and I'll see you in the next video.